choice that he made to be at that school, not to leave that school, to be there for over 50 years is something that they will rarely find in anyone, and treasure that.
He had plenty of opportunities to move up the ladder, but he didn't. And you gotta love that about him.
His ambition, I think, was always to be at Chalmette High School. Once he got that position, he realized what a difference he could make in kids' lives, and he has done that.
I loved my high school so much, and all the people who were in it, and all the teachers who were there, and all the things we did. I loved it so much, I said I didn't want to leave, and that's kind of what's happened now. It's been a few years now, so I'm still here.
Good morning. Good morning.
I started talking to the kids on the PA system every morning about things like being kind and courteous and respecting people and doing all that kind of stuff. And I started ending the 2-minute thing that I do every morning by saying the choices you make today shape your world tomorrow.
5, 4, 3.
It's been a daily ritual now for the better part of 5 decades. The morning announcements produced by and starring Chalmette High School students in a now state-of-the-art TV studio and broadcast throughout the school. News of the day, from the most recent team scores to what's on the menu, upcoming events, test schedules, deadlines, and of course, the daily message of encouragement from Principal Wayne Warner.
Today, be grateful to be a student. With something to think about, I'm reminding you that the choices you make today shape your world tomorrow.
You can talk to any Chalmette High School student or grad. You say the first half, they'll finish it. It's part of the OWL DNA.
I swear. Yeah, I mean, look, that one thing, my children use it all the time in their classrooms with their children.
Former St. Bernard Parish President Guy McGinnis graduated Chalmette High School in 1981. He would go on to teach and coach basketball at his alma mater before seeking public office.
The choices you make, you know what I mean? And just that, right? Just that one little thing that he does, you know, every day with the announcements and at graduation, you know, he lets everybody know. How impactful is that?
And it's true. And you know, my husband came to school here as well, and I'll tease him sometimes, and you know, we'll say things and like, the choices you make today shape your world tomorrow. That's ingrained in like so many people in this parish because of him.
When I was a little kid, they used to pray every night, and everything ended with, you know, whether it was the Our Father or Hail Mary, it ended with Amen. Every morning, that's what Amen is to me. Now, choices you make today, that's Amen.
When Wayne Warner stepped onto the campus of Chalmette High as a teacher, he stepped onto a fast-moving train. 1966, America in a state of upheaval, racial unrest, violence, drugs, free love, and the war in Vietnam. Chalmette had just become an all-boys high school. Those same boys would soon face the reality of the draft and the war. 2 Chalmette High School students would go to Vietnam and not come home.
They were just kids. They went on, one of them was a second lieutenant. There's like all of them who went through that, and you know, he didn't make it back. The other was a regular rifleman type person.
The memories still haunt Warner to this day. Those lost, never forgotten. Nor are the other Chalmette graduates who braved the battle halfway around the world, only to return home to the anger and frustration of a divided nation. very little thanks for a job well done.
I've always wanted to have a parade for the guys who came back, who went to Chalmette High School, who went to Vietnam, just have a parade down Judge Perez and give them that parade, you know?
While war raged in Southeast Asia, here at home, America finally came face to face with the truth. All men really are created equal. School desegregation, equal rights, now the law of the land. But in the Deep South, separate but equal would not go quietly.
Well, some of our big political leaders were against it, integration. They were against it. So, that all came to play in it.
St. Bernard Parish political and education leaders had already moved on their own to segregate the school system by sex rather than race. Girls and boys to different schools, a thinly veiled effort to thwart interracial dating.
They broke it up because I think they were afraid of what was going to happen when I think, it's my personal thing, there were some issues that were going to occur, so because of integration.
Chalmette High School, now an all-boys school, and Andrew Jackson High School, all girls. It would remain so for 22 years. Still predominantly white, though, in '66, but now racially integrated, Chalmette High School took its first tentative steps forward.
I walked some of our black students to class and stuff like that just to make sure they didn't have a problem. But we at Chalmette High School did not have that big of a problem.
Warner assumed the role of principal at Chalmette High School in 1973. His by now legendary cool head, calm demeanor, and strength of purpose guided that ship through some pretty turbulent waters.
They had to go with the punches here. I mean, they had to live through this. This was society. This is the way it's going to be from now on. We got to get them together. And there are a lot of people who probably disagree with me with all that, but I mean, that's the way I saw it at the time.
Few places in Louisiana enjoy the mix of history and culture, ethnicity and religion that truly is St. Bernard. And it all comes together in the one and only high school in the parish.
The school we have now is unbelievably diverse. They like each other. There isn't anything, nobody cares what race you are. They like to be together,
Jose Becerra graduated Chalmette in 1986, a track star for the Maroon and White. He came back, teaching Spanish and coaching track, and there's a reason he came back.
You came to school, you always knew you were part of this family, and it didn't matter what your background was. I was one of the few Hispanics. There weren't that many Hispanics here.
I can say I'm so grateful for how Mr. Warner was at that time.
Now a successful accountant, Jonathan Hills made a name for himself at Chalmette High School, graduating in 2003.
I can think about the faculty at the time, and I can know that I was seen as an individual, as a person, and specific concern was given towards my needs.
Even as racial tension simmered in a post-9/11 world, Hills broke new ground at Chalmette High.
I could tell there was a lot going on culturally and race-wise, and that there was a history there, because being nominated and voted as most intelligent, there was a certain friend's parent, and he said, I think this is probably the first time a black person got this award. And again, it wasn't out of malice or anything. It was really like, this is the first time scenario. And for me, it just created this feeling of, I don't know what the metrics were. I don't know if it's popularity. I don't know what it is. I told you that part earlier, but what I didn't tell you is I wanted to give the award back.
They're teenage kids. You have to look at all of them as individuals. What do they need? Do they need assurance? Do they need someone to take care of things for them? Do they need people to recognize that they're good kids and all that? You just have to be, we have to be a good parent, basically, and just kind of take them through all that stuff.
Every decision that was made, and still every decision that he makes, that we make as a team, is about the kids. Everything's about the kids.
he always says that our jobs exist because of the students. We have no job, you know, without the students. And every decision he makes is based on what's best for kids.
I've never seen a man so dedicated in doing his job, and he's so confident in his students and has the school's best interest at heart.
From staff meetings in crowded hallways to the daily bus ballet, Wayne Warner is right in the thick of it every single day. As the only high school in the parish, scores of buses converge on the Owl campus each afternoon. Thousands of students, daily changes, and a cadre of teachers in constant radio communication. The Rubik's Cube of school transportation. A great way to get to know students. Obviously not one to stay in his office, Warner joins the hourly student migration in the hallways, literally tapping into the lives of his students.
When you walk past him, he'll smile at you, he'll greet you. Whenever he sees people that might, they look like they're looking down, he's going to try and pick them up.
Have a good day. He told me today, he tapped my head, he's like, I like your hair. I said, thank you.
He has this power of, hey, can I talk to you for a sec? I really think you should do this. And you can't tell Mr. Warner no. Not at all.
He's always asking me how I'm doing. He's always tapping me on my shoulder. That little tap, I think he taps, it's just like a symbol.
I'll remember, at times, a tap on the shoulder. Walter, look, just think about this.
Like so many others, a Warner tap on the shoulder changed businessman, politician, and entrepreneur Walter Boisseau's life forever. A bit of guidance and direction.
He never really ever told you what to do. What he did was give you the advice to look at a situation from both sides. But once again, it's going back to the personality that he had. It was not overpowering, but it was very beyond father-like.
Boisseau would later start his own storage tank cleaning business, which expanded into the multi-million-dollar Boisseau America Corporation, employing hundreds in St. Bernard. A state senator, a candidate for governor, a leader in the recovery from Katrina, and now an innovator in the Louisiana seafood industry.
I really have to say Wayne was a cornerstone of where I am, I guess, in life today.
I loved it so much, I said I didn't want to leave.
Wayne Warner reveled in his high school experience. A 1962 graduate of Redemptorist in New Orleans, Warner relished everything about high school. An athlete, the center on the Ram football team, Warner won the coveted Joe Galliano Trophy for the most spirited athlete. Officer on the student council, the debate team, the Redemptor paper staff, and yes, he even cut quite the dashing figure on prom night. Redemptorist High School's 1962 ideal senior boy.
I really want him to enjoy school. Part of going through high school is the fact that you should be able to enjoy it.
For me, it's like he gave me a push to do more than just school, do more than what I do. I'm in ROTC, but I also play tennis and I did track before. It's a lot we can do.
We have over 100 clubs here. He says if there's something that you don't feel like you don't have a club here, or if you don't have an organization here, find a teacher and then come see me, so that way we can start an organization.
I decided to talk to one of my science teachers who had taught us photography, if I could possibly do a class on film, which didn't exist at the time. And Mr. Warner approved that class, and I may be the only student ever to graduate with credit in motion pictures from Chalmette High School.
The students are so fortunate to have someone that is so caring. He truly cares about every single one of them. He has devoted his life to this school system.
Yes, I want them to enjoy each other, and I enjoy them. I mean, I wouldn't be here if I didn't like to be here. I don't have to be here.
this day, students can't wait to see what their fearless leader might do next. Let's face it, if you can't get excited at an OWL pep rally, you may want to check your pulse. And we're not just talking about athletics. OWL academic pep rallies register on the Richter scale. Warner has been Dumbledore, the Cat in the Hat, even Tarzan. If students can come up with the idea, he's in.
Kids need to come to school for something other than sitting down, looking at a book, taking a test, and all that stuff. They have to have some fun. And you have to do it. They're teenage kids.
Because it was a welcome to the jungle theme, like Mike and I have to dress up. So, Mr. Warner, if we come out there in our grass skirts and some coconut bras, would it be okay?
Not only did they get the thumbs up on the skirts and coconuts, but Warner appeared as the legendary Lord of the Jungle himself.
Well, it might not have been quite a long cloth.
What had been folklore became legend. The day Warner rocked the gym, rolling in on a motorcycle. Thank you very much.
And one year it was an Elvis theme, and he put on an Elvis costume, and they rode him through the gym on a motorcycle. He did whatever it took to get the kids engaged with letting us recognize them for their successes.
They're teenage kids. So anytime we can do that and get away with it, we do it, you know.
Every morning after the end of the announcements, they would announce certain people on the name, on the loudspeaker, report to room 117.
117 is the designation for our room that had the disciplinarian in it.
Room 117, the stuff of legends. It's high school, and it doesn't matter if it's all boys or co-ed. Things are going to happen that will require that firm hand and stern direction.
You're talking about kids, high school kids, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's trouble. There's problems. And in his way, he took the approach, he knew that they were maturing young men.
He does have a disciplinary side, but he's not one of those leaders that would scream at you or do any of that kind of stuff. He does well, I'm disappointed in you. And when you get that, you feel it in your soul.
But here's the thing. Wayne Warner never gives up on a student. It's a legacy born one Friday night 50 years ago. He'd just taken the job when his run as principal nearly went up in smoke.
I really thought I would probably not be principal the next week.
A 1974 student prank set off a riot at the Chalmette Holy Cross football game. That student thought his dad had a cache of smoke grenades, but instead, it was tear gas. The result? Chaos.
So they took those tear grenades that they thought were smoke grenades, ran into the yards right next to the stadium and threw them in underneath the stands of the Holy Cross people. I was standing on the other side of the field, on the home side, looking at what was happening. I saw the smoke. I said, oh my goodness, we have a fire. And the smoke just kept coming and coming and coming, and the wind was blowing it across the playing field into the home side.
I was at that game, I think I was a freshman, and I remember getting a face full of tear gas that night with thousands of other people. But what amazed me about that story 50 years later is hearing Mr. Warner tell the story.
As it got going, I could see all these people jumping out of the stands. I'm here we got a little fence in front of the stands. They jumping over that. I'm afraid they got all these older people gonna hurt themselves, and then it goes across where the kids are playing ball games. The referees had to call the ball game. The smoke got on the home side. It was a terrible sight. It's in my memory. And the next morning, I met with Mr. Davies, who was the superintendent at that time. Wonderful man, great man. And I figured he was going to tell me that, this is it. Find another job. And I said, if you want me to resign, I will. And he said, no, that's not going to help anything. And the young man who was primarily responsible for it was one of the best kids we had. He had no idea what was going to happen. It just happened. And there we were picking up after it, you know. So that was a tough time.
But from that moment on, the legacy was carved in stone. Never lose a kid. Fortunately, most lessons are not quite so dire.
It was around ring day. We were traveling around St. Bernard Parish painting CHS 79 all over the parish. Of course, we got caught by the St. Bernard deputies.
That was a bad thing. It was not anything. They decided they were going to get together and they were going to paint the parish, and they did.
The 7 guys that got caught were summoned directly to Mr. Warner's office, and it was a nice little talking to. He didn't give us our senior ring at ring day that day. Us 7 got a blank, empty box.
They didn't get a ring. Nope, till everything was gone, they didn't get a ring.
The week after ring day, he made us go back around St. Bernard Parish and whitewash or paint anywhere that any of the other students who didn't get caught painted CHS 79 all over the parish. So we spent a whole day painting under Mr. Warner's supervision, and then we got our rings.
It ought to be simple like that you can do that. Now you probably have some people who would be aggravated because you're making that kid go do something or other.
Got his point across, never had no more trouble out of us.
Some principals have a feeling that a kid should be quaking in his boots when he comes into your office. He has never treated a kid that way. It's like, come on in, I need you to sit down, tell me what happened, I need you to try to help you with that.
I had my time in room 117, but it wasn't for what you think. At the time, there was a strict rule about facial hair, and I apparently needed to shave more. So I would go in and see Coach Bella, who was the disciplinarian at the time, and he would hand me a 14-year-old disposable razor that every student since 1963 had used, and tell me to go to the bathroom and do a dry shave with a really nasty razor.
He's got a little fire in him when he needs to have it. Nobody would ever know it, but there have been a few times where he got fired up and you go, wow, this is a different side. But he is very, very even keeled throughout everything. Not too high, not too low.
I've seen Mr. Warner raise his voice maybe once, maybe. And that's dealing with the stuff that he deals with on a daily basis, that we deal with on a daily basis. It's quite impressive, you know? It's like, but that's who he is. He's the cool, calm, collected, he's the leader, like he's steering this ship. We got this.
We just want to have good citizens, and to do that, you have to have a good school system.
I think he really just taught you how to be a gentleman.
He loves these kids. He loves these kids like they're his own. And that's one thing you can't say about many people. Like, Mr. Warner's go above and beyond for these students.
He does not want to lose a kid. He does not want to lose a kid.
And that Friday evening, no one was even thinking storm, because we thought Katrina was heading to Florida.
Chalmette High School's playing football. Right after that game, an advisory comes out from the Hurricane Center where they shift the track all the way over to Louisiana.
So we opened Chalmette High School as a shelter, as we had done for 30 some odd years prior to that. Because as we all know, the Red Cross didn't open any shelters south of I-10.
Well, I thought like everybody else. I came, we had the shelter open and figured, if the storm would hit, it was going to turn a little bit according to weather people, and 3 days later we'd be back in our homes.
And all hell broke loose, obviously.
Hurricane Katrina unleashed her fury on St. Bernard August the 29th, 2005. Howling winds humbled everything in her path, hurling the Gulf of Mexico into Chalmette. Everything went under. 164 souls were lost. As the winds died down, an armada of friends and neighbors began bringing survivors to the shelter at Chalmette High School.
3 days later, we were still hauling people into the building, on the second floor, and we had about 1,700 people here, and we had no food, no water, nothing.
Things were really, really dire. And as we spent several days there, it was like nobody was coming for us.
We were still pulling people in the windows, and one of the kids came up. The place was a disaster. We were on the second floor, and he said, Mr. Warner, what's going to be like to be a principal, to not have Chalmette High School to be a principal? Where are you going to go? And Mr. Warner said something to the effect, this is the only place to be principal. I'm not going anywhere.
Just a few miles up the road, inside the old Arabi High School, sits a plastic yellow chair, soon to be part of a museum of sorts, dedicated to those who battled and survived Hurricane Katrina. That yellow chair has a story.
So people would come in on a boat, would haul them off the boat onto the top of the walkway.
Because their boats would come up to the top of that breezeway, which you're talking 10 feet now, top of the breezeway, they'd walk across the breezeway, and so we grabbed a chair. It happened to be a yellow chair.
And people would have to climb on this yellow chair and go through the window, and we'd have to pull them into the stairwell that it went to.
They could step off and then, into the building. And that yellow chair, I guess we kept. I mean, that was sort of like a symbol for us.
People remember the yellow chair because that was their first thing that really they knew they were saved when they got to that point. I think that's why people remember that a lot.
But Katrina victims really were only stepping from one nightmare into another. Blanketed by floodwaters and surrounded by stifling heat, nearly 2,000 people would cram into Chalmette High School, devastated and distraught. In the midst of the chaos, Warner was the rock.
We were on the second floor mostly, and had no water. The water pressure was gone, so you had all those people, and restrooms were not restrooms. They would, anyway, we had a lot of things that we had to do.
We had sick people, we had people on ventilators, so we had almost a hospital ward there that as educators we were taking care of these people. It was a horrendous few days.
So we wound up getting people a half a glass of water and a bowl, a small pack of cereal, and that was it. That's what they ate for 5 days, 6 days.
And Wayne did what Wayne always does. Wayne stayed there, and Wayne took care of the people. And he was the person who could talk with everyone, who comforted everyone, who set an environment where people felt, oh, everything's going to be okay.
Katrina devastated the entire parish. Families lost everything. No homes, no place to live, no place to work, no place for their kids. Without school, the parish could not recover.
So we're looking around, what in the world can we do? How do we, from a school system's point of view, I'm sitting there looking, how can we recover? What can we do?
FEMA had told school officials a temporary facility might be open the following year. That did not sit well.
So at that point, we took matters into our own hands and began to plan how we were going to reopen. And we did, 11 weeks, which was unprecedented after the storm.
For Wayne Warner, the challenge had only just begun. Before the storm, he ran one school. In Katrina's aftermath, he would lead all 14. St. Bernard Unified School rose like a miracle from the mire. Every school in the parish rolled into one, from pre-K to high school seniors. Incredibly, the doors opened to students in mid-November 2005. A collage of school colors and mascots. S-Bus, as it came to be called, was a landmark, a beacon of light and hope.
All of a sudden, we opened the gate, and they had all these little kids come in, and they sat in the stands, and we had a little ceremony and stuff. It was really wonderful. I was feeling very humbled at that point to think that, the people that were here got all that together, and it worked.
We had 3 other public schools in the district. If you came from St. Bernard High, bring whatever was there that was important to you in terms of your spirit, your colors, and that kind of thing. Andrew Jackson, bring your spirit, your colors, and that kind of thing in Chalmette High School. And we came into a unified school at the high school level.
Doors opened in the fall to 330 students of all ages. By spring, that number ballooned to 2,300. Each day, new students arrived, which meant more classrooms were needed, which meant new teachers had to be hired and schooled themselves in what to expect.
You're going to be a missionary, You don't understand. You just don't have the things that you would expect to have in a school. And she said, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I said, okay, well, we'll start your money. She said, just give me my keys. And I said, well, you don't have any doors. I don't know what you need keys for,
Parents would bring them to us in their pajamas. We had kids who were sleeping, teenagers in the back of pickup trucks. We had families on concrete slabs setting up tents. We had people in cots. We took everyone.
Here we are in the middle of the swamp, and there's nothing out there. There's no gas, there's no electricity in the building.
And where would food to feed them come from for the ever-increasing number of teachers, staff, and students? Well, remember the kid who had to wait for his senior ring because he tried to paint the parish?
The reason it's so vivid in my memory is they asked me to cook for the kids because they didn't have a cafeteria. They only had portable buildings and some trailers.
Mark Ben Faddy owned the popular Araby diners in the parish. In the wake of Katrina, the Chalmette grad had been cooking on a Mississippi River barge feeding workers at the Murphy Oil Refinery.
So I said, let me check with Murphy, and if they don't mind, we had the capacity to do that. So we showed up with 300 meals. I think there was 312, 340, somewhere in that neighborhood, and it was kindergarten to 12th grade.
And he was serving dinners on a boat in the Mississippi, and we had to transport the food from the Mississippi River to our outdoor tent where the kids came to eat.
And I think we did it for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then Miss Voce and them got a kitchen and a staff, and they fed the kids, but it was good to help. They called, and you had to go.
St. Bernard Unified School, a mammoth undertaking. Something like that had never been done before. Built out of necessity, courage, and prayer, there was really no comfort zone.
To learn about what it would have been like to be an elementary teacher, which for some of us was like, whoa, this is way too tough, whoa, way too tough. You have to walk backwards to make sure they stay in line with you, you know. The high schoolers you can lead, the elementary schools you have to walk backwards. And I'm not good at walking backwards if you haven't noticed that, you know.
I never dealt really with the elementary kids. And, you know, I didn't realize how much the elementary teachers walked backwards in their life, you know. There were a lot of things I didn't know.
As the weeks went by, the St. Bernard story and the success of the unified school brought big names to Chalmette to see everything for themselves. Among them, First Lady Laura Bush.
You know, she gave us a check for a library. She wanted to start our library. We had lost 27,000 books.
The Laura Bush visit forced Warner to cancel an appearance before the Louisiana High School Athletic Association in Baton Rouge. He was going there to tell the Katrina story. Perhaps it was destiny that he could not make that trip.
We had about, you know, they had about 400 principals, and they saw our story, you know, and we named it That's What School People Do.
Straight from the heart, and at times on the verge of tears, Warner looked straight into the camera and told St. Bernard's Katrina story, one of grit and grace.
Thank you for taking care of our students while they were under your care, because as you know, that's what school people do.
St. Bernard Unified School existed for less than a year, really only a semester and a half, the bridge between disaster and destiny. The school yearbook would be yet another unique challenge. Wayne Warner again went tapping.
And you know, Wayne Warner asks you to do something or has something you want to talk about. You talk about it with him right then. And that's how it still goes, you know, almost 20 years later.
As the 2023 Louisiana High School Teacher of the Year, it's no surprise Justin Templet was school valedictorian and an aspiring journalist when Hurricane Katrina hit. He had his eyes set on graduation and career, but as the St. Bernard Unified School story spread, national media reached out. So Warner tapped Justin to help them tell the story.
All of us really realized, and Mr. Warner, of course, as wise as he is, knew the importance that was.
Reflections would be the only yearbook S-Bus would ever require. The chronicle of an extraordinary journey, a triumph in the midst of tragedy, still never more than a memory away.
Or what it became was so much more than just the yearbook. It really is this document of this very brief, very trying and very significant time, not only in our school's history, but like, probably the most formative period of my life.
We were there. And again, the man who was in charge of that every day, every day, every day was Wayne Warner.
Nothing short of yet another miracle. The rebuilt, reimagined Chalmette High School facility stands today as a shining testament to faith, courage, and determination.
Well, we had a vision, and then we brought people in.
The original facility underwent a massive overhaul while retaining much of its original heritage and history. But that was only the beginning. Just across Judge Perez Highway from Chalmette High, on the side of the old Lacoste Elementary School, now stands the 9th grade center, connected to the school with an iconic brick and glass skywalk. And beyond that, a multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art cultural arts center and theater. Here's the real miracle.
We were able to reconstruct all of it without going to the local taxpayers for monies.
It really is all about the recipe. 2 parts diligence, determination, and a healthy dash of dedication to the students, opening an array of possibilities, including a nationally recognized culinary arts program in a part of the world where cooking is a way of life. While other areas seem to have wasted millions of Katrina dollars, St. Bernard educators were not afraid to imagine the possibilities.
We built our cultural arts center and the swimming pool and the athletic facilities and the additional programs that we put in. We brought in our educators who had expertise in those areas and said, well, Dream, what would you like to happen?
I think about all the people who came together to produce this building, including the architect who did it, who loved Chalmette High School students and wanted to give them the best he could do. So when he built it, he didn't build it as a school auditorium, he built it as a theater, and he wanted the kids to have that opportunity.
Anything goes.
Just how deep is that love affair? Well, deep enough to fire the imagination and fuel the dreams of thousands of students.
Anything goes.
I've seen some things that have just been unbelievable. We have some talent that is just unbelievable.
He's there every single show night. It doesn't matter if it's the same show, different cast. He is there every night.
Every show that we have, he has his reserved seat. He sits in the same spot every time.
And he expects us and pushes us to go above and beyond. And he not only expects us to do it, because that's what he gives, and he wants us to be able to give the same, but he pushes us to do it.
We did Peter Pan, and we flew Peter Pan to Neverland and back, and we did that every night for 2 weekends, and we are not afraid to push the boundaries.
The recent production, Anything Goes, another fantastic voyage, tapping the resources of the entire community. Proof that with vision and hard work, dreams really do come true.
Beautiful, a beautiful love story of a school, a community, and an array of students that have followed him.
We work diligently. The cast, the crew, everyone works very hard, and many hours are spent to ensure that we have an amazing show. And Mr. Warner really lets us know and understand that the hard work that we put was worth it.
He is an above and beyond person, above and beyond principal.
I mean, he's the face of the whole program.
I graduated from Chalmette High in 1997. Mr. Warner was my principal, and now he's my boss.
Miss Munt, and she was my English teacher, so I know her real well. And to this day, she looks at me like I was one of her students, and that's what I look at her as a teacher.
He kind of guided me through, and without even telling me what to do, I just kind of knew I saw the way he treated people. I saw how very fair he was.
I met my husband in middle school. We went to high school together, got married at a young age, and then we decided, there's no place else we'd want to, raise our kids than Chalmette. So, we came back right after Hurricane Katrina, and we've been here ever since.
Chalmette High School is family. There truly is an owl culture. Time and again, students graduate here and go to college, get that teaching certificate, and then come home.
Mr. Warner always talks about wanting to, he came back to high school because he loved high school, and I think that's, the same for a lot of us too. And I always wanted to be a teacher.
Will Schneider had been a star athlete, an actor in school plays, a member of numerous clubs and organizations, and Mr. Chalmette. He had history, and he came back.
Never in a million years, if you'd asked me, what are you going to be doing, would I have ever said when I was in high school or even college, like, I'll be a teacher, administrator at Chalmette High School.
Dorian Hall did not graduate from Chalmette High School, but he is certainly part of the Owl family now. Warner sees the good and promise in people, the opportunity to teach and grow.
That was kind of like that. Mr. Warner, stuck his neck out, give me this chance right here. I'm young, 29 years old, give me this chance. I don't want to let him down. So how would you repay somebody by not letting them down, doing the best of your job?
That's kind of how he works. He sees something in people, and you do something, and you go, man, I know he trusts me, and I know he's got confidence in me.
So I think it's a mutual trust. We trust him to make the best decisions about the school and for the kids and for us, and then he trusts us to do a good job.
That was one, I felt like we didn't really have a lot of control over. We had to do the best we could, but we didn't have a lot of control.
We, in our lifetime, had never experienced anything like that.
When COVID broke out in March 2020, schools everywhere pivoted immediately to a whole new level of challenge. Teaching students inside the classroom is challenging enough. Teaching them at home by computer, well, that's something else again.
Yeah, COVID was a very strange thing. It really was bad. They lost the structure that was in a regular school setting. And for 2 years, they kind of got mixed up in it. But we did the best we could.
We would do some Zoom meetings to figure out what is this going to look like? How are we going to conduct these classes?
Out of the gate, schools shut down and students fell behind. Then came remote learning, but that was no substitute for teaching and learning in the classroom. When the bell finally rang again, school had adapted one more time.
Our students have everything at their fingertips, literally. Each one of them has a school-issued Chromebook. And so, everything you can do online, they have with them, and then even when they go home.
People may not always understand the decisions that are made, but those decisions are always made for the best interest of the kids. And so for COVID, it was, what's the best thing we can do for these kids?
And once things finally started opening up, he was trying to get us to have pep rallies and dances, and he was always trying to just make sure we could return to the normalcy that we lost.
I feel like we couldn't have done it better.
But graduating seniors also faced the prospect of no graduation ceremony. But where there's a Wayne, there's a way.
It's one of the few times that I gotten to see that man so emotional, so pulled to make sure that every kid would get a special moment of graduation.
We had a graduation where it took 9 days for us to film every kid going across the stage. We invited their family to come cheer them on as they walked across the stage. It was, it was interesting. It was interesting. It just took a lot of effort.
And at the same time, he, a few weeks before the closure, fell and he broke his shoulder, and also still shaking the hands of every student with a broken shoulder. That man cares about the students so much.
And he doesn't consider himself a principal, he considers himself an aide to everybody. I'm just an aide, I'm just here to help. Let me help you however I can.
No one at Chalmette High School has worked more closely with Wayne Warner than Assistant Principal Carol Cookie Munt. Better than half-century working side by side.
Once you know him, to know him is to love him and to understand that he is an educator and that he is there for everybody, no matter who you are.
And if you ask Wayne Warner, he'll say the same thing about her.
She's done everything. I mean, anything asked, she's done. She's right-hand man.
The families are close. When school is out, they've actually vacationed together, working vacations, laying out the upcoming year. She plays a huge role in those pep rallies, too. No matter how outlandish the costume or the idea, Cookie Monk has a hand in it.
They would develop the theme and say, this is what we're going to do. We go, okay, fine. Dress me the way you're going to dress me. Tell me what I have to wear. It was so much fun. It was just way too much fun.
We sort of grew up together. His assistant principal, Cookie Munn, came in at that time as well. And we became very, very good friends throughout those years.
Bernard Parish School Superintendent Doris Voce has leaned on, led, and learned from Wayne Warner for 5 decades. An emotional roller coaster. What's in her heart, hard to put into words. The bond, though, unbreakable.
How do you talk about somebody you've been best friends with for 50 years, you know? And having that, can you stop in a minute? I love the guy. I love him as a person, as a friend, as a colleague, in every sense of the word. A deep love and hopefully understanding and friendship that we have.
On the weekend, he's with me.
If ever there was a perfect match, it's Wayne and Kitty Warner, married now 57 years, a testament to the notion opposites attract.
I'm very animated, and Wayne is very serious, so they couldn't quite get the connection. So I reminded them that I'm a performer, and so Mr. Warner lets me be the star, and so that's how it works out.
Well, you've come to the right place.
And a star she is in her own right. While Wayne is working, Kitty is acting and singing, a member of the internationally renowned Sweet Adelines.
And I have been singing in Sweet Adelines since Wayne became principal at Chalmette High School, because I realized either I had to find a niche for myself, or I had to accept the fact that he was always going to be going and belonging to lots of more other people.
And with no children of their own, Wayne and Kitty have devoted their lives to the children of others.
2,200 kids this year. Next year I'll probably have 2,400.
I think what makes it work is his love for children. And these are young adults, and he wants them to be a success.
Yes. We're the senior prom of 2023.
For the class of 23, the last 4 years have been one heck of a ride, but it's all in the rearview mirror now. Speaking of one heck of a ride, this is a night to enjoy the food, the music, the glitz and glamour of prom night. You knew Mr. Warner would be here. He and Miss Munt wouldn't miss it for anything. But despite the best efforts of some of his favorite students, Mr. Warner was not getting out on the dance floor.
I haven't danced since my wedding. My wife would kill me.
Didn't dance at the prom. I know it's something my wife always tells me I should dance, but I don't know how to dance. I never really learned too much.
Wife Kitty says the last time he danced was at their wedding, but he'll be the first to tell you it really isn't his night anyway. This night belongs to the class of 2023. Just a few weeks earlier, another prom night, if you will, 45 years removed, a class reunion, the 1976, 77, and 78 classes of Andrew Jackson and Chalmette High Schools. And of course, Mr. Warner is here. This group already knows what the newest graduates will soon come to appreciate.
He would, never brag about anything, but he's nothing but first class, and we were blessed to have him as our principal.
He was a role model for someone who was focused on the objectives and trying to accomplish in your life and your career.
To this day, behind my office, I have Chalmette. I'm telling you, Chalmette all. I have my Chalmette senior mug, okay, from the prom. What does that tell you? That tells you the impact that a guy like Wayne Warner has made on my life.
Okay, guys, here we go. Here is Mr. Wayne Warner.
Do we have any owls in the house?
Almost as if nothing has changed. His students decked out for the prom, a little older and a little wiser. The bonds and relationships, though, stronger than ever.
And that's the great thing about the people who came from Chalmette High School. They liked each other, they cared about each other, they cared about the community.
What he was saying tonight, addressing the people, is just how he is. And the first thing he said was, I love seeing all you people together still after all these years. You know why? Because that's how Chalmette High School is. Still today, family.
It's my 57th as a teacher here at Chalmette. It's my 50th graduation as principal. Well, isn't it wonderful? It's a beautiful sight, isn't it? With all those wonderful people out there, those kids, they look so good, they're ready to go, they're behaving themselves. I have nothing but good feelings about this.
A bright, early summer sun sets as a new day, a new chapter in life begins for the Chalmette High School seniors. The principal's primary principle emblazoned on the arch above the stage, and again across the hearts of his students. That message, one more time.
Just remember, every day is a new beginning, and I hope that every day you remember that the choices you make today shape your world tomorrow.
Education only begins with graduation. As students receive their diplomas and leave the stage, each pauses a moment with Mr. Warner for a picture and one last word of encouragement. These students prepare for the rest of their lives. Wayne Warner looks forward to next year.
There's nothing special about Wayne Warner, and that's the truth. I know you don't like to hear that, but that's the truth.
May we beg to differ. Wayne Warner is the longest-serving high school principal in all the United States, nearly 51 years at the helm of Chalmette High School. And he certainly is something special. His impact on students, parents, teachers, and community simply cannot be measured. He is loved.
Yes. Yes. Without a question, I say that yes. Not because he pays me, but I do love him. But yes, he's a great man.
I felt very special. And that's how he always made you feel. I mean, whether it was intentional or not, he always made you feel like you were important.
You don't want to say you'd take a bullet for somebody, but you would. Like if it's a lot. I mean, I don't really know how to describe it. I would do anything in the world for him.
You know what? I don't know his religion, his background, but I know he loved me.
It had nothing to do with being a principal or a teacher, or it was just caring for the kids in your community, in your school, that they had the things they needed to be successful in life.
That every day is a new day. And so when you walk in and you see his face, you know that, it's a new day and life is good here.
He's the head owl, the best owl.
5 decades plus, better than half-century as the best owl. Is retirement somewhere on the horizon?
You know, that's a great question. It's not just my decision. You know, I have a wife. I have all my friends who are actually the people who work with me every day. I want to think about them. I don't know. I mean, it could be 3 months. It could be 2 years. I don't know. Who knows?
I want him to be able to do it while he's still able to enjoy it. But I know how much he loves this place. He deserves to be honored. But like I said, I would have a song and dance prepared.
I had to make a decision. What was I going to do? Well, it was obvious to me. I wanted to go to college and become a teacher. so I could be in high school forever. And that's kind of what happened with my life, you know.